This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast
with Tony Bruschi.
We are joined by Robin Dreek, former FBI agent and chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program, also a Hidden Killers contributor, to talk about a story that just keeps getting weirder. The allegations, the case, the story of Rudy Farias. This is one that's just been utterly bizarre since we've heard about it. Reported missing in 2015 by his mother. He returned the day after, but was never having the missing persons report withdrawn. It stood there for all of that time. He was recently found last week outside of a church near Houston. His mother, him, both went in for questioning. They had an activist, Quinnell X, that came in and was working and initially hired by mom, but ended up speaking on Rudy's behalf. The accounts of what Rudy was talking about and what Rudy was saying in that interview with law enforcement at the hotel vary greatly between the advocate, Quinnell X, and law enforcement in their press conference. That, to me, is confusing point number 500 in the story, but kind of where we're starting. What was your take on the accusations that Quinnell was saying the son was making versus what was in the observed by the Houston PD?
So I think it's going to take a while for the truth in this matter to really come to light, and here's why. Yeah. The mother exercised a lot of control over her son, as he even stated, but he's going to be really reticent to share information because what she did, what she conditioned him, what she gave him reps in was reps of fear, and most importantly, the most critical one, reps of shame. I found it interesting that he backtracked and was kind of became emphatic that his mother did not sexually abuse him.
Yeah.
I got a feeling it's going to come out that she did, because when you even saw him walking, I think I saw the photos of him walking outside and they had a big blanket over him. That is what you do when you're trying to hide shame.
Yeah.
And once he gets into some really, really good counseling and he can accept that he shouldn't feel shameful, and it was her actions, not his actions, that caused all of this, because that's what she did. That she kept him in control by shaming him that his actions were causing all the negative things. His actions were going to cause the police to arrest him, or all the things that all the crazy things she was telling him. She made him feel shame for everything, which kept him wanting to be hidden, wanting to be seen. And so when you have toxic shame in your life, it really rules your behavior until someone can help you get through that and realize it's not you. You shouldn't feel shame. It was the person doing it to you that caused that shame. And so it's going to take him a while to be open and honest and transparent. And the hardest thing in a situation like this, be vulnerable, because shame keeps us from being vulnerable. And so he's going to be very resistant to it. And so I think he needs someone with a nice, good, gentle touch, metaphorically, obviously, to help him move through and move away from his mother's hold on him, and not just proximity wise, but emotionally. She did a tremendous amount of damage through years and years of reps during the formative years of his life.
She certainly did. And there's no denying that there is a extreme level of abuse that occurred here just to get what you got out of Rudy. He sat down with Fox 26 in Houston for an interview just the other day. And it was very, I don't know, any other word for it to say than bizarre. His candor in it, he seemed to be very aware of what went on with it, using terms that either he's been trained to use or has been hearing in the last week, but seemed almost like a survivor of some sort of trauma many years down the road. He seemed very advanced in what he was talking about and very aware of what he had been talking about. In fact, here, we'll play a little clip so you can hear. This is the reporter asking, where have you been all this time?
Just at home. Just stuck at home, you know. If somebody would come over, my mom would just tell me, stay in the room, you know. keep the door locked, don't let him in, don't make any sounds, don't do anything,
Tell us about what it was like living there. Were you allowed to leave the room? Was she holding you there against your will?
She never, locked me in or, handcuffed me or anything like that. I had free will to leave. It just felt like brainwashing, honestly. It just kept confusing me, just the way, she would manipulate me into saying, oh, you're going to get arrested because you have a speeding ticket or something, something minor, something innocent, and then it would just kind of escalate into just people just, sorry.
You're good.
It's just,
take your time.
Yeah, it just escalated from there, from, just wanting to get away from home, just be free, live my own life, arguing all the time, and then we eventually just went into she locked me in there pretty much mentally, just that she was my only parent. She was the only person I ever really had besides my brother. So when I lost my brother, I didn't have anybody to teach me how to live, how to have confidence or trust in myself or anything, So I just depended on my mom all my life.
Interesting. He is 25 years old. This is what he's saying. What I'm amazed at is the level of awareness and clarity that he seems to have of what's been going on for all these years. And I don't know. I mean, just did he just become aware of this in the course of 1 week since he's been found? Or is this someone who's, been in there suffering? But I don't know. Still, if you're this aware of what's going on, I guess the question is, how did you not be able to get out of there? But I guess it's the victim thing too, where sometimes, unless you're in that situation, you don't realize how difficult it is mentally to leave. They don't necessarily have to have you handcuffed to the bed frame.
The best analogy that popped in my mind when listening to that and watching this whole case is basically what you have here is a two-person cult.
Mm-hmm.
He even said it, brainwashed, and that's exactly what happened. Brainwashing, or that cult mentality, starts ruling your behavior. And most cults, they're not told what they can and can't do, but there's going to be psychological pain inflicted on you if you don't do what the cult says you should do.
Mm-hmm.
You have a charismatic leader at the forefront, and money and sex are always part of this. And so, not sure how the money played into this, and she even said that he said that she placed him in the husband role. And so I'm seeing a two-person cult here, and you can become very self-aware, I think, because if you have hours upon end of just sitting, ruminating, and thinking about the world around you, that's going to give you a lot of clarity, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, though, if you're under that psychological shame pressure that the cult leader is putting on you, it's going to keep you from taking those actions that are in your best interest in the moment, especially if they keep highlighting to you. And he said to himself, he didn't have anyone else. The only person in his life was his mother. And so if you have a lifetime of reps of fear of interacting with the world around you, because he can't read social cues,
mm-hmm.
he can't read and integrate with other people that well because he doesn't have reps in that yet. I mean, just think of a newborn child, because that's what he typically was.
Mm-hmm.
When his mother started isolating him, his social development stopped at that point. So that's the age he is socially. And if he didn't have great socialization before that, that's where he's at. He can be extremely self-aware, but his ability to interact with others, it's going to take a lot of years. Again, I think of new healthy reps with good healthy people around them. But again, the reason I think that things don't make sense when we're listening to him, or they don't quite add up, is because he's not being completely transparent, open, and honest, because he's incapable of it right now. So I think he's got a lot of things he's blocking, a lot of things he's maybe telling himself his own lies to protect himself and his own mental damage. And so I think that's what we're seeing manifest now. And I hope he'll come out of it. He seems like a good, healthy, eventually healthy boy, but I'm hoping he gets what he needs.
You're locked into the Hidden Killers podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts, and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member, exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast, dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.